So now you understand what a microgravity experiment is. Now you understand what the mini lab looks like. You understand biology is predominant, though there are physical and chemical system experiments. You understand some examples of the mini lab. And now you say, okay, I'm ready to go, Jeff. But now you realize as a team, how do we even figure out what kind of microgravity experiment we want to do? How do we even think about that? So let me give you 5 ways that help you think about what kind of microgravity experiment you want to do. The first way is once you know the mini lab operations page backwards and forwards, you know what can work in the mini lab and you know what cannot work in the mini lab because you know what the engineering and technology constraints are imposed on your experiment. So then you can look around your world and see something cool and say, wow, I wonder what the role of gravity is on that. And I know that that can work in the mini lab because I read the mini lab operations page. I'll give you 2 examples. There was a middle school young lady who went down to her basement one day and she saw in the damp basement moss growing on an inside wall. And she said, I wonder what the role of gravity is on the life cycle of moss. That's where that experiment came from. A high school senior had biology the year before, and she loved the planaria worm regeneration laboratory. So she said, wow, I could put planaria worms up in the mini lab. I wonder if gravity plays a role in planaria worm regeneration. That's where that experiment came from. So you can look around your world and ask, what's the role of gravity in something? That's the first of 5 ways to do it. The second way you can do it is you can go online and do research on what microgravity experiments have already flown so that you can get an understanding of the kinds of microgravity experiments to think about. Then the third of 5 ways is you can go to the document library and download the microgravity science background document that provides an overview of 9 separate science disciplines appropriate for microgravity research and why, and the accompanying case studies document that has examples of each of those disciplines, microgravity experiments in each of those 9 disciplines. That's a third way you can do it. A fourth way you can do it is you can download from the document library the microgravity experiment samples document, which has a list of hundreds and hundreds of fluids and solids that are typically used for microgravity research. So that might give you an idea for what kind of experiment to do. And the fifth way to do it is you can go to the SSEP website and read a 1-paragraph summary of over 400 SSEP experiments already conducted in the mini lab. And there's a page that's dedicated just to undergraduate experiments. So you can look at just the undergraduate experiments in multiple disciplines across many disciplines to get ideas. And if you want to do one of those experiments over again, you can. If you want to do one of those experiments a little differently, you can. If you want to do an experiment that's never been done before, you can. It's up to you. And you might say, well, isn't doing an SSEP experiment over again cheating? Well, let me explain this. We want to immerse you in an authentic research experience. And your work product, your deliverable, is a formal proposal written against the template in the proposal guide. And in that proposal, you have to explain what experiment you're proposing and what the essential question is that you're asking. And then you need to justify why that's a good microgravity experiment with embedded citations in the text and a bibliography of primary references. You then have to provide an overview of the procedures. How is the experiment going to be done in space? How is it going to be done on the ground? And then an analysis protocol for how you're going to compare the flight experiment and the ground experiment to see if there are discernible differences in behavior of what you're studying to reveal the role of gravity and see if you answered the original essential question. And you cannot get a proposal from a 1-paragraph summary on the website. You don't have access to the proposals. We don't give you proposals. We don't put the proposals on the website. You have to come up with a formal proposal from the template in the proposal guide. And if your starting point is a 1-paragraph summary on the website, that's fine. So does everybody understand how that works? So just in a quick summary, the 5 ways that you can think about what kind of experiment you want to do is if you first read the Minilab operations page and you know what it can do and what it can't do, you can look around your world and say, gee, I wonder what the role of gravity is in that, and I know that that will work in the Minilab. The second way is to do online research to see what microgravity experiments have been done. The third way is to download the microgravity science background document from the document library and read about 9 separate science disciplines like microencapsulation or protein crystal growth or crystal growth. The fourth way to do it is you can download the microgravity experiment samples document from the document library and get a list of hundreds and hundreds of fluids and solids typically used in microgravity research. And the fifth way to do it is you can go to the SSCP website and read myriad overviews of microgravity experiments that have already been done. Okay, good summary. Got that?